The February 20th meeting of the Wheaton Park Board of Commissioners to order. Mike, please take the roll.
Commissioner Morrow?
Here.
Commissioner Meade?
Here.
Commissioner Fiewiger?
Here.
Commissioner Lukihan? Here. President Kelly?
Here. Mike, any presentations?
No, sir.
Community input. Did anybody sign up for community input?
No, sir.
Okay, consent agenda. I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
If I may, under discussion, item C should not be on there. I apologize. It's just item A and B. When I tendered a revised agenda on Monday, that showed up an error. So it's just A and B. My apologies.
Okay.
I don't see C.
You're on the one you got in the board packet, not the one you emailed 2 days ago.
So Phil's got a good one.
Oh, you're doing
Either way, it's just A and B.
Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Meade?
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukihan? President Kelly?
Yes. Unfinished business, ordinance 2011-04-A. We need a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 2011-04A, an ordinance amending the ordinance making a combined annual budget and appropriation of funds for the Wheaton Park District for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2012 and ending December 31, 2012.
Second.
Mike, take the roll. Any discussion? Take the roll.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Meade?
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukihan?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Next item, project update and possible action on change orders, Central Athletic Center. As you all know, the Central Athletic Center opened on time on February 1st. We took temporary occupancy of the gyms on the lower level on Friday, and programs started Friday night. Last week we received temporary occupancy for the upper gym, so now we have use of the entire building with the exception of the batting cage area, but the batting cages have been relocated to the mezzanine. The contractor is using the batting cage area as his final staging area for this week and part of next. But he should be complete with all work by March 1st, which is what his contract is. Rob and I walked the job with him yesterday. All he has left is mostly controls work. The mechanical engineer and the electrical engineer and plumbing engineer have made their punch list. The contractor's working on punch lists. So if you haven't had a chance to get to the building, you should go by there, but it's basically up and running, and hopefully we'll have those batting cages ready to move sometime in the next week or so. You should have got a memo from Mike that was provided by the Finance Committee on where we're at with changes on the project. You got a copy of change order number 5, which I signed in the amount of $71,982 that I'm looking for the park board to ratify tonight. And then, it's change order number 4, I'm sorry. And then in the report you also got a list of open proposals that total about another $49,000. In that report, some of the items were yellow. This was the emailed report from yesterday. And some of the items were yellow. Those are just estimates of what the quotes will come in at. We don't have all the final pricing yet. But if everything goes the way we think, I think that the total change orders in the job will be right around $200,000, which is what we told you a couple of months ago. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, we need a motion to ratify change order number 4.
I'd move to ratify change order number 4.
Second.
Any discussion? Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Meade?
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukihan?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. New business, or unfinished business, item 3, possible update, or project update and possible action on a contract. This is on the 7 Gables pathway replacement project. And yeah, I'll let Phil fill you in on that a little bit.
Contract termination.
We entered into a contract with a company called Center Court. They were supposed to be doing path work at Seven Gables, and they were the low bidder, significantly low bidder. They did not come out and do the work. I think they realized they couldn't do the work for the project cost, their bid cost. They kept refusing. Upon advice of our council, is that time where I think we terminate their contract and go forward with going after their bond, as well as hiring another contractor if the bonding company does not come back out and do the work for us, or if they did not come back out. But step number one at this point is to terminate the contract with Center Court, and I would make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
And for the record, it's terminated because they're non-performance.
Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Lukians,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger.
Yes.
Commissioner Means.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes. The last unfinished business item was, we talked about scheduling a bond workshop, similar to the one that I went to on my own. And it's been brought to my attention that within a couple of months, the makeup of the board may change. So in talking to Mike, we're not gonna be going into the budgeting till like June anyway. So I'm gonna schedule that bond workshop for after the May meeting, when we have next year's board in place. And that way everybody who's gonna be involved in that can attend. So I didn't see any real advantage to doing it right now, and, waiting a couple months isn't gonna matter. We'll still have it before we start planning our fiscal year. Does anybody have any problem with that? Okay. New business, resolution 2013-04, amending the Park District's flex spending account plan. Need a motion?
Move to approve resolution 2013-04, amending the Wheaton Park District's flexible spending account plan.
Second.
Second, Terry. Anybody have any questions or discussion? Anybody take the roll?
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Means.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger. Commissioner Lukians.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes. New business item 2, ordinance 2013-02, easement agreement for limited parking and access.
Move to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, item 3, review and possible action, alternative funding program for health insurance. You guys got a report on what we've saved over the past 3 years since we implemented this program. Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I need a motion. Well, we have a recommendation from staff that we let the 3-year savings of $107,000 stay in the account and use it to keep funding, rather than pull the money out. And so we would vote to continue going forward with this alternative health insurance plan.
Move to continue participation in the alternative funding program for 2013 and to leave the balance of $107,980 in the fund for 2013.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Means.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger. Commissioner Lukians.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes. New business item 4, review and possible action, adult education programming, non-resident rate structure. We need a motion.
I'd like to move to exempt the adult education programs from the non-resident fee policy of the Wheaton Park District, so that the class fees are equal regardless of registrants' Wheaton Park District residency status beginning in the summer of 2013.
Second.
Any discussion? Phil?
Is Valerie here, or who, Jennifer?
Jen Bergerman is here.
Hi, Jen. I know it's in this memo, and I'm having a hard time understanding it, so I apologize. It's probably me. Is there can we tell how much of the, well, I guess here's the concern I have. I have no problem with education things going down to one rate, because I think anything we can do to help people better themselves is something that I think we should be doing. I guess I have concerns about on changing the non-resident rate, and I guess let me ask a question. Like, we have men's basketball, right?
Yes.
Is that gonna change too?
With this approval, yes, it would.
Under the motion, Meg, it would.
But I don't see that in the list of the follow-up of things that are health and wellness classes. Where does that fall in this?
You're right, that class was missed in my list. Apologize.
It would be under health and wellness.
It's open basketball, which right now we have 18 participants. And most of them are residents or school district residents.
We have a men's basketball league that plays Wednesday
That's not
night.
included in this. This is just drop-in basketball.
Well, that's what I'm trying to
Middle school.
understand. What is not included in your modifications? Because I guess that's where I'm lost. I'm having a hard time with that. This is why I asked for this breakdown. I know it didn't, you guys gave it to me in one form and I looked for it in something else, but I guess I see three, and I guess I don't understand what the breakdown is. Are men's basketball leagues not part of the adult education or something different?
Right, they're
Do
part
we
of the
change
athletics.
do we charge different rates for those than we do charge residents and non-residents rates there?
I would assume so.
It's under athletics. So basically, a league is under Brad. This open basketball's been with adult ed forever.
Okay,
And same thing with co-rec volleyball. It's a program, not a league. And once again, it's been with the adult education program forever. School district used to run it, we run it now.
and why did it stay in health and wellness, just because it started out in adult
It's
education?
at one of the middle schools where the adult ed site supervisors oversee the program and the staff on those evenings.
It's two programs.
So is your question, Phil, that maybe that should have a non-resident fee attached to
Well, my
it?
question is, I think that things that are helping people better themselves, such as the education classes, and I'm not sure I agree with this list, drink, wine, and paint, for lack of, as an example of something that someone should be getting a break on if they're a non-resident. I think we gotta be looking at these and saying, okay, things such as English as a second language, I clearly think those people should be getting a break, and anything we can to do, that's something this board's taken a position on for a long time. But things that are, for lack of a better word,
Recreational?
recreation, just not a necessity to help them better themselves, I don't know why we're giving non-residents a break versus our residents. And that's the first thing when I first heard this. I think there should be a breakdown on the types of programs that we're giving people a break. And then now I'm hearing we have some stuff in rec and some in education, and I'm not sure where I see the dividing line of how we're running this program. It seems to me like doesn't seem efficient to me. So that's where I have the concern here. Killer core, much as everybody should be working their core, I'm not sure we should be subsidizing someone from wherever on their health and, the Parks Plus has two rates, correct? Well, it's Killer Core and co-rec volleyball, to me, I have no difference in those than I do for our Parks Plus. Why should somebody from Naperville get the advantage of that?
I have a response, but I thought Terry first.
Do you have a response?
Well,
Go ahead.
this came about because to make this program more self-sustainable, as it has been in the past, we've been cooperative programming with other park districts. So non-residents are already participating in our programs at a resident rate, which we then only collect 80% of. So by taking resident rates from non-residents directly, we would keep 100% of their money, number one. Also, our Wheaton residents attending our classes could invite their friends to attend, whether they're in town or not, to participate at the same rate, which is pretty nice. You don't want to invite your friend, I'm paying $20 and you have to pay 30, or whatever the rate would be. And lastly, any programs that we're bringing non-resident adults into, which they're already in our communities, working, playing with their kids, they're just going to get more exposure to our facilities, Arrowhead, things that they can continue to use later on. So it really is an advantage to our residents. And I did not mention, but our reduction rates, our cancellation rates have dropped also from having more non-residents in our classes.
John?
Okay, Terry?
I understand what Jen is saying, but I think Phil makes some good points. Mike, can you give us a ballpark of the percentage of these programs that would be, let's say, as Phil kind of described them, recreational in nature versus, health and wellness, betterment, however you want to do it?
I'd be hesitant to take a hip shot, Terry.
Okay.
What I would do is if there's time as far as promotional calendars are concerned, we can do an analysis and base, if it's the will of the board, to separate things along the lines of education, self-betterment versus entertainment, recreation. We can do that, do a good job of it, and come back in March. I don't know if we have a publication issue we're concerned about, but we could certainly start this in the fall of 2013 as opposed to the summer if we're not prepared to make a decision.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, timing-wise, and Jen, maybe you can address it, and or Mike. If we don't approve this tonight, are we behind the 8 ball in terms of time if we look for a little more definitive breakdown of this?
I couldn't tell you the summer publication schedule sitting here right now, and Margie is the flu, so.
We would make it
It would?
if it went to the board next month. It
would
would
not.
not make it in time for summer.
It would or would not, Jen?
It would.
Right.
Yeah, it was myself that initiated this years ago, and Phil is right. My argument with the school district was, how can you call adult basketball education when it's recreation? And I think the reason why it's currently still with the adult ed program is that's where it was back in 2000 and whatever, when we took this over. I think maybe what has to happen is some of Jen's programs need to be separated out, and those that are education fall under her responsibility, and those that are recreational fall either under the athletic people or perhaps somebody else. And then Jen needs to concentrate then on developing new programs that will better our residents as well as others. But these programs, and the one specific one that Phil brought up, was a part of the adult education program back when, and it just stayed with that program, didn't change. Doesn't make it right or wrong, it is what it is. So, I agree, maybe we need to take a harder look at, who's responsible for what.
And one thing before Phil, I have a question though. So this basketball program that's going on, it's at the site where there's other adult education classes going on that
Right.
night?
Right.
So all these programs really fall in a site where you already have a site supervisor?
Correct.
So it is different than the rec department running it with their people. We're already paying a site supervisor to be at a certain, call it one of the junior highs, right? We have 5 education programs going on, and we decide we're gonna open the gym, as long as this one supervisor's there, and taking a little extra money by letting people come play basketball for $20. So if they wanna bring a friend, we make another $20 versus charging them a non-resident. So I kinda see if it all falls under their program, it happens at their site on their night when their supervisor's there, then I can see how that could be a different program from rec. And this adult education program can be on its own. So I don't want to start moving programs over to rec so we can charge a little more when that's just extra money for a site supervisor that's already at a school and is going to be there anyway that night. So you open the gym and you got basketball the same night. I kind
Our
of,
athletic, the adult athletic programs that fall within my area are also some of the ones with the highest revenue percentage for me. So that does help cover the cost of site supervisors for programs that are not generating as much revenue.
okay. And do we cancel many programs? When you have, how many classes on average do you have to cancel because we don't have enough people? What's your percentage? Do you
Right
know?
now, we're around 32.
You cancel 30% of your classes
Mhm.
because we don't have enough people?
Right.
So you're thinking more people, maybe so some of our Wheaton residents are losing out on classes because we don't have enough people?
Right.
Okay, Phil?
I think, Jen makes some good arguments. I guess I really want us to look at whether these programs, just because we have a site supervisor under Jen doesn't mean that Mary Beth and Brad can't use that same site supervisor to open up the program. And I understand where you're at, Jen. We've been pushing sustainability. However, I will tell you, one area that I, for personally, and I think most of this board, is willing to subsidize is your area. Okay? This is something that we have to do, and if we have to subsidize slightly, I don't want you worried that, oh my gosh, I didn't make my numbers and, I'm SOL. That's not what I'm looking for here. But I think I would like to see is just because it was an adult ed 25 years ago when we took it over doesn't mean it should automatically stay there. And I guess I'd like an analysis by staff as to where that should go. And if it makes sense to keep open Edison one night and your person's there already, so we leave it open, that's fine. I just don't know. And I guess I have also another concern is, just looking at this, I would guess 80% of the programs are education versus 20% health and wellness, just by looking at the chart, whatever it may be.
Sure, the big list on the left is all education, just the top.
And I also understand how hard it could be for you to say, okay, 80% of my programs I'm charging one rate, and then the other 20% I gotta charge two rates. That could be a logistic nightmare for someone doing what you're doing, which is, your focus in my mind should be education part. So I would like staff to look at this and say, your department and Mary Beth's to look and say, okay, is there a way to modify this that makes sense? If there's not, you guys tell us, we're awful at what we're, all wet, doesn't matter, we'll live with it, but I do want that analysis done, at least I do. And whatever, you guys come up with, as long as it makes sense, we're usually pretty reasonable about following. Once in a while I get a wild hair, but other than that, everybody else seems to follow it. So that would be my thoughts.
Jen's area is in the recreation department, so it's all in the same department, nothing's been moved.
It's all about workload.
I agree with Phil. I'll remove my motion.
I think what it comes down to is, Mike, according to you and Jen, we can have the analysis done and still make it in the next meeting and still take care of business, right, for the summertime?
Motion to table appropriate, or?
He just withdrew the motion, so
Okay,
right now it's
so
a
it's your
motion.
motion. So if I don't have a motion to move forward, we'll visit this again next month under old business.
If I may verify, you're looking for a breakdown of what's educational, recreational, and athletic/fitness.
Yeah, I think so. I think, I personally am, and let me just say, I think your reasoning is very sound. I just think we need a little more analysis that's past what we've seen so far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Reports from staff. We got the museum report in our board packet. Anybody have any questions? I see the museum people are here tonight. Ray?
I'd just like to say that it's an excellent report, and that I, for one, I think the Wheaton Park District is proud to be associated with the DuPage County Museum. It's an excellent report. You're doing great work, Sarah and Sarah. And I've had experiences with another history center, and they haven't been anywhere near as productive as this, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Steve?
I agree with Ray, it was a great report. But what steps did you guys take to increase that educational revenue? You guys did a pretty good jump from the previous year.
Thank you. It was definitely increased visibility. Since 2009, we've been working to sort of repair the reputation of the museum in the community, and one of the elements to that is creating an exhibit plan. We did have 4 months of the Girl Scout exhibit still in 2012, so that certainly helped. The Park District did put together a birthday party brochure combining all of the birthday party opportunities in the district, so that was definitely a winner for us as well. And we had quite a few more tours, if you saw the appendix on the tours, and special programs offered during the times of these exhibits that we've offered.
How many people were here for the Lego exhibit?
3,000.
I heard
3,000?
Great.
Wow.
3,000.
My nephews couldn't see it, there were so many kids. They got frustrated.
Yeah, we were excited. 3,000 in 2 days. And in 2009, the first year that I was here, we had 2,500 visitors that year. So
Wow.
3,000 was great.
Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, I like the report. I think you've done a great job of increasing the visibility and the number of people. I have one question, and maybe it's here and I didn't completely, again. The visitor donation chart on page 9, is that total museum donations, or is that just visitors as they're walking in the door? That's what I didn't understand.
That is visitors as they're walking in the door.
Okay, do we have a chart, and if we did, I missed it, as to the total fundraising being done? You know, we have these casino nights, we have whatever, where we're at, you know, from 2009 through today comparatively on total outside donations or total donations, either way. Do we have that information somewhere?
Unfortunately, we do not, but I could definitely provide that for the next board.
If you could, that would be great. I think you've increased the donations pretty highly, and I think that'd be something we should see.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just a comment. Sarah, great work. And Mike, to you, I want to, commend the staff for being creative in its events, and at the same time, the marketing is sensational. I think we're getting the word out there and it's showing, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Something I wanted to mention, in the minutes that we approved tonight, there were some unfinished business items on relocating this, co-locating servers and on email options. And the Buildings and Grounds Committee needs to meet one more time on that. So we'll probably have a report for you next month. That's why it wasn't on this month's report. But you may have noticed it was in the minutes that we approved tonight. Mike, do you have anything?
Just another positive comment. Congratulations to the Parks and Planning's Department, as Rob and Steve have secured 2 of the 3 grants we put in with DuPage County related to clean water initiatives. The permeable paver parking lot for Cosley Zoo and the new office building at 855 Prairie was awarded to the tune of $72,250, essentially covering the difference between asphalt and permeable paving. So congratulations, Rob and Larry. We did not receive the piece for Elliott Lake shoreline restoration because the water quality improvement factors weren't there sufficiently to edge on other projects. So we continue to be very successful in bringing in alternative sources of money for capital projects, as well as doing things in an environmentally sustainable fashion. We had a wonderful appreciation mixer. In excess of 400 of our volunteers, our partners, and friends attended. And my hat's off to the rec department for the logistics, and certainly my hat's off to Arrowhead for doing a wonderful job, as always. That concludes my comments.
Okay, board member comment. Anybody have anything?
Would I go with Mike's sentiments regarding the our event at Arrowhead? That was not only well attended, but we had a lot of accolades as usual for our invitations and our collaborations with a lot of different partnerships throughout the city.
Yes.
The significant accomplishments for 2012, is this going to be on our website?
That's one department's accomplishments. We did have a significant accomplishments for the entire agency that was that is on our website and was also distributed under President Kelly's name at the mixer. So yes, short answer, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, last item, closed session. Does anybody feel the need to go into closed session on that item, or are we okay?
Okay.
Okay? So then, possible action on items that weren't discussed in closed session. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to move to approve a salary increase for our exec director, Mike Bernard, in the amount of 2.5% for the year 2012, retroactive to January 1 of 2012. 2013, sorry, I'm a year late.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Terry?
Mike, want to commend you and the staff for not only a productive year, but a very profitable year in a lot of our revenue generation areas. You know, I think that, you know, we need to recognize, you know, your efforts and those of staff, and, you know, that certainly was part of the rationale for the salary increase recommendation.
Right?
I agree with Terry. I think Mike has done a very good job over this past year, as well as all of the staff of the Wheaton Park District. I think our citizens are served very well.
Mike, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Meade?
Yes.
Commissioner Fiewiger?
Yes.
Commissioner Lukian?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your confidence.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I think
Thank you very much for
staff
coming.
wants to stay longer. No?